Good afternoon, everyone. Today we are going to be reading through Chapter 6 of Dracula by Bram Stoker. We're not just going to be reading the words, though. We're going to be stopping and talking about interesting vocabulary words as we go. So if you're an advanced learner of English, this is a great way to learn new vocabulary words. We'll also talk about interesting expressions that we encounter as we go. And the great thing about this is that we are doing it live. So if you are watching this with me live right now, then you can ask questions in the comments. What does this mean? What does that mean? I don't understand. Can you explain? I encourage you to do that. So don't think that you're interrupting me. Go ahead and ask any question that you want. All right, well, let's get started with Chapter 6 of Dracula. Mina Murray's Journal. 24th July, Whitby. Lucy met me at the station, looking sweeter and lovelier than ever, and we drove up to the house at the Crescent, in which they have rooms. This is a lovely place. The little river, the Esk, runs through... Well, I have to look at what an Esk is, but it's capitalized. So I wonder if that's the name of something. Let's see, Esk. I have no idea what that could be. Different things depending on context. Okay, in the UK it says that Esk is the name of several rivers. Okay, and that would make sense why it's capitalized. It's the name of a river. Okay. The little river, the Esk, runs through a deep valley which broadens. Broadens means becomes wider. Which broadens out as it comes near the harbor. A great viaduct runs across with high piers. Pachu is here. Pachu says hello. Hello, Pachu. Recuerdos says buenas tardes. Buenas tardes, Recuerdos. Let's see. This is a lovely place. The little river, the Esk, runs through a deep valley which broadens, that means becomes wider, which broadens out as it comes near the harbor. A great viaduct runs across with high piers, through which the view seems somehow further away than it really is. The valley is beautifully green, and it is so steep. We've talked about the word steep before. You know, if you imagine a hill, this would be a hill that would be easy to walk up. No problem, just walk up the hill. It's a little bit, makes me a little bit tired. But imagine if the hill is like this. This would be steep. So steep is about inclination. This would be easy to walk up. This would be very difficult to walk up. What were they calling steep here? The valley is beautiful, green, and it is so steep that when you are on the highland on either side, you look right across it, unless you are near enough to see down. The houses of Old Town, the side away from us, are all red-roofed and seem piled up on over the other anyhow, like the pictures we see of Nuremberg. Right over the town is the ruin of Whitby Abbey, which was sacked by the Danes. When a fortress is sacked or a city is sacked, that means that an army invades and, in a way, I think, destroys it, or takes it over, at least. And which is the scene of the part of Marmion, where the girl was built up in the wall. It is a most noble ruin of immense size and full of beautiful and romantic bits. There's a legend that a white lady is seen in one of the windows. Between it and the town there's another church, the parish one, round which is a big graveyard, all full of tombstones. This is, to my mind, the nicest spot of Whitby, for it lies right over the town and has a full view of the harbor and all up the bay to where the headland called Kettleness stretches out into the sea. It descends so steeply, descends means goes down, so it goes down like this, almost. It descends so steeply over the harbor that part of the bank has fallen away. So some of the graves have been destroyed. So there's a graveyard. It seems like there's a graveyard on top of a hill, and that hill goes down to the sea. But it really is almost like this, so much so that part of the land has fallen, and some of the graves, some of the dead bodies have fallen into the sea at some point. In one place, part of the stonework of the graves stretches out over the sandy pathway far below. There are walks with seats beside them through the churchyard, and people go and sit there all day long, looking at the beautiful view and enjoying the breeze. I shall come and sit here often myself and work. Indeed, I'm writing now with my book on one knee, and listening to the talk of 3 old men who are sitting beside me, and they seem to do nothing all day but sit here and talk. The harbor lies below me, with, on the far side, one long granite wall stretching out to the sea with a curve outwards at the end of it, in the middle of which is a lighthouse. A heavy seawall runs alongside of it. On the near side, the seawall makes an elbow crooked inversely, and its end, too, has a lighthouse. Between the 2 piers there is a narrow opening into the harbor, which then suddenly widens. It's nice at high water, but when the tide is out, it shoals away to nothing, and there is merely a stream of the Esk running between the banks of sand with rocks here and there. Outside the harbor, on this side, there rises for about half a mile a great reef, the sharp of which runs straight out from behind the south lighthouse. At the end of it is a buoy with a bell, which swings in bad weather and sends in a mournful sound on the wind. They have a legend here that when a ship is lost, bells are heard out at sea. I must ask the old man about this. He's coming this way. He's a funny old man. He must be awfully old, for his face is gnarled and twisted, like that of a bark tree. Well, let's see what the word gnarled, how the word gnarled is defined. Let's see. Gnarled. Twisted, rough, knobby. Okay, let's try to see pictures of gnarled. This is gnarled. But she's using that word to describe an old man's face. So you can imagine maybe he has a lot of wrinkles and they're going all many different ways. Like this. He's a funny old man. He must be awfully old, for his face is gnarled and twisted like the bark of a tree. He tells me that he's nearly 100, and that he was a sailor in the Greenland fishing fleet when Waterloo was fought. He is, I'm afraid, a very skeptical person, for when I asked him about the bells at the sea and the White Lady at the Abbey, he said very brusquely, I wouldn't fash mysel' about them, miss. Uh-oh, he's got a kind of regional dialect. Let's see. Well, first of all, she says he's a skeptical person. And to me, what that would mean is he's very suspicious of what other people say. But I wonder if she's using it in the opposite way, like she doesn't believe what he says. But let's see if we can figure out what he's saying. I wouldn't fash myself about them, miss. Them things be all wore out. I don't know what fash means, but I can understand the rest. It sounds like he's saying, I think what he's saying is don't worry yourself about it. Don't think about it. Those things are all falling apart, almost dead. Mind, I don't say that they never was, but I do say that they wasn't in my time. They be all very well for comers and trippers alike, and the like, but not for a nice young lady like you. Them feet folks from York and Leeds that be always eatin' cured herrins and drinkin' tea and lookin' out to buy cheap jet would creed aught. I wonder myself who'd be bothered tellin' lies about them, even the newspapers, which is full of fool talk. It sounds like what he's saying is that tourists and locals who want to make money make up stories about these things to scare people and to make them interested. I think that's what he's saying. But I'm not sure. I thought he would be a good person to learn interesting things from, so I asked him if he would mind telling me something about the whale fishing in the old days. He was just settling himself to begin when the clock struck 6, whereupon he labored to get up and said, I must gain words home now, miss. My granddaughter doesn't like me to be kept waitin' when the tea is ready. For it takes me time to crammel aboon the grease. For there be many of 'em, and I lack belly timbers sairly by the clock. I have no idea what he's saying. Except that he has to go because his granddaughter is making tea, and she gets angry if he's not on time. He hobbled away, and I could see him hurrying, as well as he could, down the steps. The steps are a great feature on the place. They lead from the town to the church, and there are hundreds of them. I do not know how many. And they wind up in a delicate curve. The slope is so gentle that a horse could easily walk up and down them. So she's saying that where they are is kind of high up, and the way he's going down, it's not steep. It's the opposite of steep. She says the slope is gentle. Slope is, does it go up and down like this, or does it go like this? And she says the slope is gentle. The side of the hill is gentle. The inclination. I think they must originally have had something to do with the abbey. I shall go home too. Lucy went out, visiting with her mother, and as they were on only duty calls, I did not go. 1st of August. I came up here an hour ago with Lucy, and we had a most interesting talk with my old friend, and the 2 others who always come and join him. He is evidently the Sir Oracle of them. I should think. Must have been in his time the most dictatorial person. He will not admit anything, and down faces everybody. He can't argue, them he bullies. If he can't, oh my goodness, let me start that over. He will not admit anything, and down faces everyone. I've never heard that expression, but I imagine it means he looks down on people. He thinks he's superior. If he can't out argue them, he bullies them. So, when you put out in front of a verb, it kind of makes a competition out of the verb. So if you outthink someone, it's like a competition of thinking, and outthinking means you win. And out argue is having a discussion with someone, having an argument with someone. To out argue someone means you win through argument. So it says, if he cannot out argue them, if he can't win through argument, he bullies them. and takes their silent for agreement with his views. Lucy was looking sweetly pretty in her white lawn frock. A frock is a dress. She has got a beautiful color since she has been here. I noticed that the old men did not lose any time in coming and sitting near her when she sat down, and she's so sweet with old people. I think they all fell in love with her, on the spot. We've seen that expression before, on the spot. That means right at that moment, exactly in that moment, exactly in that place. Even my old man succumbed and did not contradict her, but gave me double share instead. I got him on the subject of the legends, and he went off at once in a sort of sermon. I must try to remember it and put it down. It be all fool talk, lock, stock, and barrel. Now that expression, lock, stock, and barrel, which we've actually seen before, Pachu says, let's choose 10 to 20 difficult words from this class. What do you mean? That's what you want to practice later? Are 10 to 20 difficult words? What do you mean by choose? So lock, stock, and barrel means everything. Okay, so he says, it be all fool talk. So stupid, ridiculous talk. Don't say fool talk. That's not something people say. But Pachu says yes. Well, okay, Pachu, you can make a list of words you want to practice, and then we'll look at them later. Okay. Lock, stock, and barrel. That means everything, all of it, the whole thing. That's what it be, and naught else. These bands and wafts and bow ghosts and bar guests and bogles and all anent them is only fit to set bairns and dizzy women a belderin. So I think he's saying something like these stories are only meant to scare people. And they be naught but air blebs. They and all grims and signs and warnings be all invented by parsons and ilsome birk bodies and railway touters to scare and scunner halflins and to get folks to do something that they don't other inclined to. So he says the stories are made up to scare you and to make you buy things or do things you wouldn't normally do. Look here, all around you, and whate'er ye will, all them steens holdin' up their heads as well as they can out of their pride is a cant, simply tumbling down with the weight o' lies wrote on them. Oh, he's saying that look at all the people walking around. They're all liars. Let's just say that. Here lies the body, or sacred to the memory, wrote on all them, and yet in nigh half of them there bent no bodies at all, and the memories of them bent cared a pinch of snuff about, much less sacred. Lies all of them. Lies, all of them. Nothing but lies of one kind or another. I think he's saying that some of these graves are even fake, that they don't have any bodies in them. Either that, or he's saying that nobody really cares about these dead bodies in this graveyard. I'm not sure which. My God, but it'll be a queer scoderment at the day of judgment when they come tumbling up in their death sarks, all juped together and trying to drag their tombsteins with them to prove how good they was, some of them trimmelin' and ditherin', with their hands that dozened and slippery from lying in the sea that they can't even keep their grip of them. Okay, I really don't understand what he's saying. I could see from the old fellow's self-satisfied air, and the way in which he looked around for the approval of his cronies, that he was showing off, so I put in a word to keep him going. A crony is kind of an insulting word. It sort of means a friend, but this old man is clearly the leader, and the cronies are his little friends next to him saying, "Yeah, he's right." They just always agree with him. Let's see, what is the. Let's ask ChatGPT what a crony is. It's not a nice word to call someone. A crony is according to ChatGPT, a crony is a close friend or companion, often with whom someone has a long-standing relationship. The term can sometimes carry a negative connotation, especially in the context of politics or business. I have never heard crony being used in a positive way. Pachu says crony is a close friend. But to me, it's a very negative word. I would not use that unless you meant that their relationship was unhealthy. Partners in crime. I could see from the old fellow's self-satisfied air and the way in which he looked around for the approval of his cronies that he was showing off. So I put in a word to keep him going. "Oh, Mr. Swales, you can't be serious. Surely these tombstones are not all wrong." Yeah, so I guess maybe he's saying that the tombstones are not there are no bodies under the tombstones. Well, unhealthy friendship, Pachu. Yablins! There may be a poorish few not wrong, savin' where they make out the people too good, for there to be folk that do think a balm bowl be like the sea, if only it be their own. The whole thing be only lies. Now look you here, you come here a stranger, and you seen this Kirkgarth. I nodded, for I thought it better to assent. Assent means agree. Though I did not quite understand his dialect. So she's not really understanding what he's saying either. I knew it had something to do with the church. He went on, "And you consate that all these steens be a boon folk that be haped here, snod and snog." I assented again. "Then that be just where the lie comes in. Why, there be scores of these lay beds that be tomb as old Dunn's back-a-box on a Friday night." I really don't have any idea what he's saying. He nudged one of his companions. Nudging. Pachu says, "Can we use some sentence structures for speaking?" Well, okay, we'll give it a shot. I'm already thinking how to do this in my head while I'm reading. So, let's finish up the. You keep writing words you're interested in, and then we'll try to figure it out in in about an hour. I think this will take about an hour. Okay, now it says he nudged one of his companions. Nudging is kind of like this, but it doesn't have to be with your elbow. It could be any part of your body. You touch somebody with part of your body, like this. A small movement. A nudge is like a small movement. So if he nudged one of his companions, he probably did something like this. Am I right? Am I right? Something like that. He nudged one of his companions, and they all laughed. And my God, how could they be otherwise? "Look at that one! The aftest abaft the bare bank. Read it." I went over and read. So he's talking about gravestones. He's saying that there are no bodies. I'll just show you a picture of a gravestone in case you don't know what that is. Just a second. Uh-oh. What happened? Okay, this is a gravestone. So he's saying that this cemetery is fake, is like a fake tourist attraction. and that there really aren't any bodies under there. They're all lies to try to get money from people. And now he's saying, now go over there and read that gravestone. So let's see what it says. Pachi is saying Gog. Well, I think that the way this man is speaking, I don't understand 80% of what he's saying. He speaks some kind of weird dialect. But I think that word Gog is his way of saying God, but I'm not sure. Okay. There is a word though, agog. I was agog, which means I was shocked. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do. I don't know if that's related. Wait, let's see. Okay, I'm going to ask ChatGPT Gog. Since you ask, let's see. Gog, okay, could be a Bible reference, which we can't really get into here. So it could just be a Bible reference. But I've never heard anybody use it in the same way, because that seems like it would be a perfect time for him to say God, but instead he says Gog. That's why I thought maybe it was like just a variation of the word God, but maybe not. I don't know. Okay, let's see. So I went over and read Edward Spensley, Master Mariner, murdered by pirates off the west coast of Andres. April 1854, age 30. When I came back, Mr. Swales went on. So you see, I think that's very unlikely and kind of romantic. Oh, he was murdered by pirates. It does sound fake. I went over, okay, and who brought him home, I wonder, to hap him here, murdered off the coast of Andres. I wonder if that's a place in Spain, Andres. And you conceded his body lay under? Why, I could name ye a dozen whose bones lie in the Greenland seas above. He pointed northwards. Or where the currents may have drifted them. There can be steens around ye. Ye can, with your young eyes, read the small print of the lies from here. This Braithwaite Lowry. I knew his father. Lost in the lively off Greenland in 20, so that's 1820. Or Andrew Woodhouse, drowned in the same seas in 1777. Or John Paxton, drowned off Cape Farewell a year later. Or old John Rawlings, whose grandfather sailed with me, drowned in the Gulf of Finland in 50. Do ye think that all these men will have to make a rush to Whitby when the trumpet sounds? I have me antherums aboot it. So he's saying, because he was a sailor, he's saying, how would they bring the body all the way from Spain to bury him here? I was a sailor. I knew some of the names of the people here, and I know when they died. Their bodies were not carried here. I think that's what he's saying. This is a fake cemetery. I tell you that when they got here, they'd be jommelin' and jostlin' one another that way that it'd be like a fight up on the ice in the old days, when we'd be at one another from daylight to dark and trying to tie up our cuts by the aurora borealis. But this was evidently local pleasantry, for the old man cackled over it. A cackle is a laugh. That's a cackle. And his cronies joined with gusto. Gusto means pleasure. But, I said, surely you're not quite correct, for you start on the assumption that all the poor people or their spirits will have to take their tombstones with them on the day of judgment. Do you think that will really be necessary? Well, what else be they tombstones for? Answer me that, miss. To please their relatives, I suppose. To please their relatives, you suppose? This he said with intense scorn. Scorn means like ridiculing somebody, making them feel bad for a stupid answer. A little bit of anger. If you scorn someone, you talk to them in a way that shows that you're angry. I better redefine that. Let's see. That's not a very good explanation. A strong feeling of contempt. Remember, contempt means hatred or disdain towards someone or something considered unworthy or inferior. So he thought that she gave a stupid answer. So he said, to please their relatives, he's angry at her because she's so stupid. This he said with intense scorn. How will it pleasure their relatives to know that lies is wrote over them, and that everybody in the place knows that they be lies? He pointed to a stone at our feet, which had been laid down on a slab. A slab is like a long, thin piece of something. Let's look at a slab. Let's look at pictures of slabs. So when you think about a slab, you think about something that's long and smooth and thin. This is a slab, foundation for a building. But it's used in a lot of other things. I just don't see any here. A lot of times it's used to talk about stone. These are all slabs. Well, let's see what ChatGPT says. Slab. Thick piece of material. Well, it says thick and flat. I said thin, but ChatGPT says thick. Let's go with thick. He pointed to the stone at our feet, which had been laid down as a slab on which the seat was rested, close to the edge of the cliff. Read the lies on that through stone, he said. The letters were upside down to me from where I sat, but Lucy was more opposite to them. So she leant over and read, Sacred to the memory of George Cannon, who died in the hope of a glorious resurrection, on July 29, 1873, falling from the rocks at Kettleness. This tomb was erected by his sorrowing mother to her dearly beloved son. He was the only son of his mother, and she was a widow. Really, Mr. Swales, I don't see anything very funny in that. She spoke, her comment very gravely and somewhat severely. You know, the word funny could mean two things. It could mean ha 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 ha, but also it could mean strange. So, I think here she means I don't see anything strange, because they're not talking about anything being ha 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 ha, but they are talking about strange behavior or strange things. So I think the way that she's using the word funny here means strange. Pachu says resurrection. Well, you know the word erect? Erect means like straight up and down. That's erect. And resurrect means, because you know that re means again, so that means like standing again. Okay, and so in Judeo and in Christian beliefs, they believe that one day all of the dead will come back to life, and this is the resurrection. So all of the dead will stand up one day and go to heaven. And that's why what did it say? It said sacred to the memory of George Cannon, who died in the hope of a glorious resurrection. So they're just including on the stone that marks where he is, where his body is, that one day he is hoping that God will take him back up to heaven. Yes, Pachu says re-erect is like that, yes. So, but it's really resurrect. But that's what it means. You don't see aught funny. Ha ha. But that's because you don't gom the sorrowing mother was a hellcat that hated him because he was a crooked, a regular lamenter he was, and he hated her so that he committed suicide in order that she mightn't get an insurance she put on his life. So he didn't accidentally, because on the gravestone it says that he fell off a cliff. In case you don't know what a cliff is, I'll show you what a cliff is. Okay, Pachu, you're asking about words. This man speaks a very strange dialect, and I don't understand those words, and I don't know if they would even show up in a dictionary. Even in the book, the girls who are talking to him, they don't understand what he's saying most of the time. And those words you're asking about, I really don't know what they are. We shouldn't spend time trying to figure them out. They won't be of any use to you. This is a cliff, and on the gravestone it says that he died falling off of a cliff. But the old man is saying no, he committed suicide. His mother was a horrible woman, and he committed suicide because he knew that she had an insurance policy on him, and he didn't want her to get the money, so he killed himself. He blew the top off his head with an old musket. A musket is a gun, a type of gun. And they had for scaring crows with. Turned for cows then, for it brought the clegs and dopes to him. That's the way he fell off the rocks. And as to hopes of a glorious resurrection, I've often heard him say, Mazel, that he hoped he'd go to hell, for his mother was so pious that she'd be sure to go to heaven. So remember, you were asking about the word resurrect, because Christians believe that one day God will call all the people who he wants to go up to heaven, and the people who he doesn't call will go down to hell because they were bad. And the old man says, but actually he was hoping to go to hell. He doesn't want to be resurrected because his mother was a very pious woman. Pious means that she was very careful to follow the rules of the religion. So he was sure his mother was going to heaven, so he really wanted to go to hell. She must have been pretty horrible to him. That's the way he fell. That's the way he fell off the rocks. And as to hopes of a glorious resurrection, I've often heard him say, Mazel, that he hoped he'd go to hell, for his mother was so pious that she'd be sure to go to heaven, and he didn't want to addle where she was. Now, isn't that Steen at any rate? He hammered with his stick as he spoke. A pack of lies. And won't it make Gabriel keckle with Geordie comes up pantin' up the grease and with the Tom Steen balanced on his hump and asked to be took as evidence. I did not know what to say, but Lucy turned the conversation as she said, rising up, Oh, why did you tell us all of this? It's my favorite seat, and I cannot leave it, and now I find I must go on sitting over there in the grave of a suicide. Pachu is asking about the word hump. Oh, here's a good example. It's kind of interesting. I'm not sure what that ump means. Look, this camel has 2 humps. These are humps. But whenever you see that word hump, look, or ump with a UMP, for example, bump. Here's a bump. Whoops, not that. Here. This is a bump. So that ump must have something to do with this shape. Lump. Let's look at lump. That UMP must have something to do with this shape because we have hump and lump, whoops, and bump, and they all have a similar meaning. This is a lump. Then there's glump. Let's take a look at a glump. A glump is a kind of an ugly, disgusting, but it's the same shape. Again, it's the same kind of shape. So that ump must have some kind of meaning that it's round. That won't harm ye, my pretty. And it may make poor Geordie gladsome to have so trim a lass sittin' on his lap. That won't hurt ye. Why, I've sat here off and on for nigh 20 years past, and it hasn't done me no harm. Don't ye fash about them as lies under ye, or that doesn't lie there either. It'll be time for ye to be gettin' scart when ye see the tombsteins all run away with, and the place as bare as a stubble field. There's the clock. I must gain my service to ye, ladies, and off he hobbled. Lucy and I sat a while, and it was all so beautiful before us that we took hands as we sat, and she told me all over again about Arthur and their coming marriage. That made me just a little heartsick, for I haven't seen or heard from Jonathan for a whole month. Pachu says, what does ye mean? Y-E. That's an older word. It's the plural of the word you. So in previous versions of English, you could say you for one person, hey you, and you could say ye for 2, 3, or 4 people. Hey ye over there, and that's like for 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 people. But in modern English, we just say you. And if we want to really make a distinction between 1 and 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, you can say you all, or you guys, or you people, or something like that. But most of the time, we just say you. Ye is plural of you, but it's not used in contemporary English. The same day I came up here alone, for I'm very sad. There was no letter for me. I hope there cannot be anything the matter with Jonathan. The clock has struck 9. I see the lights scattered all over the town, sometimes in rows where the streets are, and sometimes singly. They run up the Esk and die away in the curve of the valley. To my left, the view is cut off by a black line of roof from the old house next to the abbey. The sheep and lambs are bleating in the fields. That is, the sheep and lambs are going, bah, that's bleating. In the fields away behind me, and there's a clatter of donkeys' hooves up the paved road below. The band on the pier is playing a harsh waltz in good time. And further along the quay, there's a Salvation Army meeting in the back street. Neither of the bands hear the other, but up here I hear and see them both, and I wonder where Jonathan is, and if he's thinking of me. I wish he were here. Dr. Seward's Diary, 5th of June. The case of Renfield grows more interesting the more I get to understand the man. He has certain qualities very largely developed. Selfishness, secrecy, and purpose. Pachi is asking about the word salvation. The word salvation, it comes, the word save comes from the word salvation. It's sort of an alternate pronunciation or version of the word salvation. And again, this is a term used in religion, in the Christian religion, because in the Christian religion, the idea is you have to prove yourself worthy to get to heaven, to be saved from hell, or to be saved from a horrible existence. And the Salvation Army, it still exists. That group still exists. It's a very big organization, but it was started in the mid 1800s, and it was people devoted to the idea of trying to save their souls and go to heaven. And so what they do is they go around doing good things, helping the poor, feeding the poor, helping the sick, and hoping that they will save their souls in this way. And that's why it's called the Salvation Army. I wish I could get at what is the object of the ladder. He seems to have some settled scheme of his own, but what it is I do not know. His redeeming quality is a love of animals, though indeed he has such a curious turns in it that I sometimes imagine he's only abnormally cruel. His pets are of odd sorts. So Renfield seems to love animals. Wait, why does he say his redeeming quality is a love of animals, though indeed he has such curious turns in it that I sometimes imagine that he is only abnormally cruel. His pets are of odd sorts. I don't know why he's saying that he's cruel. You know, it's funny. Pachi was asking about the word redeeming, and it's pretty funny because, again, this is kind of a religious sort of word. To redeem yourself means that you have shown yourself to be evil, and now you have to show yourself to be very good so that you're no longer thought of as evil. It kind of means like collect. Wait, let me ask ChatGPT. I'm cheating. To recover. Yeah, I think recover is a good way. That kind of crosses the line of what I'm trying to explain, plus collect. To make up for something, or to make up for a fault or a mistake that you've committed, or to recover or claim something. So Renfield, let's see, where was it? His redeeming quality. Okay, so imagine, remember, this doctor owns a hospital for crazy people. So Renfield is one of his patients, therefore he must be crazy. And he does weird, crazy things, and you think, oh, what a weird person. But he has one redeeming quality, one quality where you think, oh, maybe he's not so horrible. Maybe there's something okay about him. Most of the time, you look at him and you think, ugh, what a horrible person. But when you see him do this one thing, you think he's not so bad. That's why it's a redeeming quality. It makes up for his faults. Or it saves him. Again, this is about saving. It saves him from thinking that he's horrible. It saves him from you thinking that he's horrible. Oh, that's hard to explain. Okay. So his redeeming quality is a love of animals. So he does all kinds of crazy, weird things. But then you see him with animals, and he has a very big love for animals. And you think, oh, maybe he's okay. That's why it's redeeming. Does that make sense? Just now, his hobby is catching flies. He is at present such a quantity that I have found myself to expostulate. To my astonishment, he did not break out into a fury. as I expected, but took the matter in simple seriousness. He thought for a moment, and then said, "May I have 3 days? I shall clear them away." "Of course," I said. "That would do." I must watch him. 18th of June. He turned his mind now to spiders, and has got several very big fellows in a box. He keeps feeding them his flies, and the number of the latter is becoming sensibly diminished, although he has used half his food in attracting more flies from the outside to his room. 1st of July. His spiders are now becoming a great nuisance, as his flies, and today I told him that he must get rid of them. He looked very sad at this, so I said that he must... He looked very sad at this, so I said that he must some of them, at all events. Pachu says, why use 1st of July? Are you asking why does it say 1st of July, or why in that way? 1 July, like that. He looked very sad at this, so I said he must some of them, at all events. Pachu says yes, but what are you... Yes to what? Why is he saying July 1st, or why is it in that way? He cheerfully acquiesced in this, and I gave him the same time as before for reduction. He disgusted me much while with them, for when a horrid blowfly bloated with some carrion food buzzed into the room, he caught it, held it exultantly for a few moments between his fingers and thumb, and before I knew what he was going to do, put it in his mouth and ate it. Okay, well, Pachu is saying, why say 1st of July? Well, I don't know why he's saying 1 July. I mean, if you were taught to put dates in a particular way, ignore the way they're doing it. I would never write it like that. But if you're asking why are they putting the date, it's because it's the doctor's diary. It's his journal. So it's very normal in a journal that you write the date and then you talk about what happened on that day. But if you're asking why 1 July, I don't know. To me, that's pretty weird. Just write dates the way that you were told to. Don't try to imitate this, because I've noticed this from the beginning of the book and I thought it was strange. I scolded him for it, but he argued quietly that it was very good and very wholesome. So Renfield ate the spider, and the doctor was shocked, and he scolded Renfield. Scolding someone is saying, you shouldn't have done that. That was a bad thing that you did. But he argued quietly that it was very good and very wholesome. The word wholesome here means like healthy. Like what? What's wrong with eating a spider? They're healthy. That it was life, strong life, and gave life to him. This gave me an idea, or the rudiment of one. I must watch how he gets rid of his spiders. He has evidently some deep problem in his mind, for he keeps a little notebook in which he is always jotting down. Jotting down means writing. He's always jotting down something. Whole pages of it are filled with masses of figures, generally single numbers, added up in batches. Batches means like groups. And then the totals added in batches again, as though he were focusing some account, as the auditors put it. There is a method to his madness, and the rudimentary idea in my mind is growing. It will be a whole idea soon, and then, oh, unconscious cerebration. You will have to give the wall to your conscious brother. Wait, let me read that again. There is a method to his madness, and the rudimentary idea in my mind is growing. It will be a whole idea soon. And then, oh, unconscious cerebration, you will have to give it... You'll have to You will have to give the wool to your conscious brother. Oh boy. I kept away from my friend for a few days so that I might notice if there were any change. Things remain as they were, except that he has parted with some of his pets and got a new one. He has managed to get a sparrow. A sparrow is a type of bird, and has already partially tamed it. To tame an animal means to make it adjust to humans. So normally this bird that he found, maybe the bird flew into the window and he took it, and now the bird has become comfortable with him. So that's what it means by taming the bird. You could tame a lion or an elephant. These are usually animals that don't like to be around humans, but somehow you can make them become comfortable with humans or like to be around humans. And Pachi was asking about parted. To part means to go away. So what did he say? He said, I kept away from my... Okay. He has parted with some of his pets. The doctor said, you can't have all of these spiders in your room. And Renfield said, okay. And then he parted with some of them. He made them go away. So he kept some of the spiders, but he made many of them go away. And now he has a pet sparrow, which is a type of bird. And he's already partially tamed it, meaning that he has made this wild animal comfortable with humans. His means of taming is simple, for already the spiders have diminished. Those that do remain, however, are well fed, for he still brings in the flies by tempting them with his food. We're progressing. My friend has now a whole colony of sparrows, and his flies and spiders are almost obliterated. When I came in the room, he ran to me and said he wanted to ask me a great favor, a very, very great favor. And as he spoke, he fawned on me like a dog. To fawn over someone is to give them a lot of attention. Obliterated, Pachi is asking about the word obliterated, which means like destroyed, but I don't trust my definition on that, so I'm just checking. Completely destroyed, wiped out, removed. So most of the spiders had been obliterated, destroyed, gone. Who knows what happened to them? Let's say, I'm just going to check my definition of fawn. Let's see. Show excessive affection, admiration, or attention towards someone. Let's read that again. So 19th of July. We are progressing. My friend has now made a whole colony of sparrows, and his flies and spiders are almost obliterated. When I came in, he ran to me and said he wanted to ask me a great favor, a very, very great favor. And as he spoke, he fawned on me like a dog. So if you've ever seen a dog who's happy to see you, they jump all over you. Oh, hi, I'm so happy to see you. They're very enthusiastic about that. I asked him what it was, and he said, with a sort of rapture in his voice and bearing, a kitten, a nice little kitten, sleek, playful kitten, and I can play with and teach and feed and feed and feed. I was not unprepared for this request, for I had noticed how his pets went on increasing in size and vivacity. But I had not care in this pretty family of tame sparrows should be wiped out with the same manner as the flies and spiders. So I said I would see about it and asked him if he would not rather have a cat than a kitten. His eagerness betrayed him as he answered, "Oh yes, I would like a cat. I only asked for a kitten, lest you should refuse me a cat." So remember, we've seen that word lest before, where you name the thing you're afraid of. So Renfield really wants a cat, but he asked for a kitten because he thought he was afraid the doctor would say no if he asked for a cat. Lest you should refuse me a cat. No one would refuse me a kitten, would they? I shook my head and said that at present I feared it would not be possible, but that I would see about it, and his face fell, and I could see a warning of danger in it. For there was a sudden fierce sidelong look at which meant killing. The man is an undeveloped homicidal maniac. I shall test him with his present craving and see how it will work out. Then I shall know more. Pachu is asking about the word vivacity. You know, when you see the word vive, that means life. But I just want to check the definition of vivacity. Liveliness, energy, a lot of spirit. So full of life is what vivacity means. "10 p.m. I visited him again and found him sitting in a corner brooding. Brooding means feeling bad, feeling depressed. I'm just going to check my definition. I'm not trusting my definitions today. Deeply thoughtful, often a dark or serious, troubled way, kind of depressed. I visited him again and found him sitting in a corner brooding. When I came in, he threw himself on his knees before me and implored me, implore means beg, and begged me and implored me to let him have a cat, that his salvation depended on it. So there again you have the word salvation. So it sounds like if he doesn't have a cat, something horrible is going to happen to him. The only thing that can save him is getting a cat. I was firm, however, and told him that he could not have it, whereupon he went without a word and sat down, gnawing his fingers. Gnawing is like biting. In the corner where I found him, and I shall see him in the morning, early. 20th of July. Visited Renfield very early before attendant went his rounds. Found him up and humming a tune. Humming a tune is... He was spreading out his sugar, which he had saved, in the window, and was manifestly beginning his fly-catching again, and beginning it cheerfully, with a good grace. I looked around for his birds, and not seeing them, asked him where they were. He replied, without turning round, they had all flown away, and there were a few feathers about the room, and on his pillow a drop of blood, and I said nothing, but went and told the keeper to report to me if there was anything odd about him during the day. Pachu's asking about the word turning around. Well, turning around is just... turning and around. I mean, it's kind of redundant when you think about it. Turn is this, and around is moving in a circle. So turning around is moving around in a circle. I don't remember seeing that. Where was it? He replied, without turning around. So imagine that Renfield, I don't know, maybe he's putting sugar on the window to attract flies, and the doctor walked into his room. So normally, if you hear somebody enter your room, you would turn around to see them. But he ignored it, and he just kept putting sugar on there. So he had his back towards the doctor. Let's see. Pachi was asking about fly away. Well, birds fly, and the word away means not here, or go far, or something like that. It really kind of means not here. So if the birds fly away, that kind of means they flew and they escaped, or they left. They're not here anymore because they flew. That word away comes with a lot of verbs talking about traveling. Run away, that means you run very quickly, like escape. Fly away, that's what you would do if you were a bird. Go away, that's what you tell someone when you don't want to see them anymore. Go away. The attendant had just been to see me to say that Renfield has been very sick and has disgorged a whole lot of feathers. My belief is, Doctor, he said, that he has eaten the birds and that he just took and ate them raw. Pachu says away means travel. It doesn't really mean travel. It means not here. It means not located in this place. And then you have a traveling word like run. So if you say run away, that means run and don't be here anymore. If you say go away, that means go and don't be here anymore. So the traveling part is whatever word you attach to it. If you say he is away with just the verb to be, that just means he's not here. He's not in this place. I gave Renfield a strong opiate tonight, enough to make even him sleep, and took away, so this is take away. So that means the doctor took something from him, and it's not with him anymore. And took away his pocketbook to look at it. The thought that has been buzzing about my brain lately is complete, as the theory proved. My homicidal maniac is of a peculiar kind. I shall have to invent a new classification for him and call him zoophagus, life-eating maniac. What he desires is to absorb as many lives as he can, and he has laid himself out to achieve it in a cumulative way. He gave many flies to one spider, and many spiders to one bird, and then he wanted a cat to eat the many birds. What would have been his later steps? It would almost be worthwhile to complete the experiment. It might be done if there were only sufficient cause. Men sneered at vivisection. Sneered. Oh, that's horrible. Oh. Remember that we said that word vive means to live. And section means taking things and pulling them apart. So this vivisection kind of means pulling apart life. Or maybe killing. Maybe that could mean killing. Let's see what ChatGPT says about that. It's not a word that a normal person would use. It's more of a word that a doctor would use. Vivisection is the practice of performing surgical procedures on living animals for scientific research. So the section part is pulling apart, and the vive part here, which means to live, it means pulling apart things that are alive or living. It would almost be worthwhile to complete the experiment. It might be done if there were only a sufficient cause. Men sneered at vivisection, and yet look at its results today. Why not advance science in its most difficult and vital aspect, the knowledge of the brain? And there you have that word vital. Vital means, again, that vi means life, and vital means important to life. It's funny how we keep having that root come up today. Had I even the secret of one such mind, did I hold the key to the fancy of even one lunatic, I might advance my own branch of science to a pitch compared with which Burton Sanderson's physiology or Ferrier's brain knowledge would be as nothing. If only there was sufficient cause. I must not think too much of this, or I may be tempted. A good cause might turn the scale with me, for I may not too be of an exceptional brain congenially. How well the man reasoned. Lunatics always do within their own scope. I wonder at how many lives he values a man, or if at only one. He has closed the account most accurately, and today begun a new record. How many of us begin a new record with each day of our lives? To me, it seems only yesterday that my whole life ended with my new hope, and that truly I began a new record. So it shall be until the great recorder sums me up and closes my ledger account with a balance to profit or loss. Pachu says, "Can you say lunatic? Can you say root word of this word? The root word of lunatic is luna, which in Latin means moon. Because many thousands of years ago, or I don't know when, maybe it wasn't thousands of years ago. A lunatic is a crazy person. That's another way of saying a crazy person. And at some point, they noticed people speaking Latin, maybe doctors, maybe Romans, I don't know, that when there was a full moon in the sky, people acted crazy. And that's why they call a lunatic. It's a person affected by the moon. I don't know if they have the same idea in Nepal, but even now, people are very superstitious, and if there's a full moon, when it's a complete circle, they'll warn their friends, don't go out tonight, it's a full moon, because people believe that others are extra crazy when there's a full moon. Or if you see something crazy happen, you might say to your friend, "Oh, it must be a full moon." So it's something, there's a connection somehow, somewhere, with craziness and the moon. A lunatic. To me, it seems only yesterday that my whole life ended with my new hope, and that truly I began a new record. So it shall be, until the great recorder sums me up and closes my ledger account with a balance to profit or loss. Oh, Lucy, Lucy, I cannot be angry with you, nor can I be angry with my friend whose happiness is yours. But I must only wait on, hopeless, and work, work, work. If I could have as strong a cause as my poor mad friend here, a good, unselfish cause to make me work, that would be indeed happiness. Mina Murray's Journal, July 26th. I'm anxious and it soothes me. Remember, soothe means makes me feel relaxed, makes me feel calm. I'm anxious and it soothes me to express myself here. It's like whispering to oneself and listening at the same time. And there's also something about the shorthand symbols that make it different from writing. I'm unhappy about Lucy and about Jonathan. I had not heard from Jonathan for some time, and I was very concerned. But yesterday, dear Mr. Hawkins, who is also so kind, sent me a letter from him. I had written asking him if he had heard, and he said the enclosed had just been received. It is only a line dated from Castle Dracula, and it says, "He's just starting for home." That's not like Jonathan. I don't understand it, and it makes me uneasy. Uneasy means uncomfortable. Then, too, Lucy, although she is so well, has lately taken to her old habit of walking in her sleep. Her mother has spoken to me about it, and we've decided that I am to lock the door of our room every night. Mrs. Westenra has got an idea that sleepwalkers always go out on roofs of houses and along the edges of cliffs and then get suddenly wakened and fall over the despairing cry that echoes all over the place. Poor dear. She is naturally anxious about Lucy, and she tells me that her husband, Lucy's father, had the same habit, that he would get up in the night and dress himself and go out if he were not stopped. Lucy's to be married in the autumn, and she's already planning out her dresses and how her house is to be arranged. I sympathize with her, for I do the same. Only Jonathan and I will start in life in a very simple way, and shall have to try to make both ends meet. Sorry, I got lost for a moment. Mr. Holmwood. He is the Honorable Arthur Holmwood, only son of Lord Godalming, is coming up here very shortly, as soon as he can leave town, for his father is not very well, and I think dear Lucy is counting the moments till he comes. She wants to take him up in the seat of the churchyard cliff and show him the beauty of Whitby. I dare say that it is the waiting which disturbs her. She will be all right when he arrives. No news from Jonathan. I'm getting quite uneasy about him, though why I should I do not know, but I do wish that he would write, if it were only a single line. Lucy walks more than ever, and each night I'm awakened by her moving. Pachu's asking about the word dare say. Let's say that the word dare has something to do with courage. So if you say, I dare say, that means I will be courageous enough to say. It isn't very common in contemporary English. You could still use it, but it sounds very formal. So Mina is just guessing about something. Where did she say that? I can't find it. Anyway, it's something that you say when you're guessing about something. So imagine you see a lot of clouds in the sky and it's very dark and the air smells wet. You could say, I dare say it's going to rain. And that means I'm going to have the courage to tell everyone that my opinion is it's going to rain. But it really isn't common in contemporary English. I think people might find that strange if you say it. Lucy walks more than ever, and each night I'm awakened by her moving about the room. Fortunately, the weather is so hot that she cannot get cold. But still, the anxiety and the perpetually being awakened is beginning to tell on me, and I'm getting nervous and wakeful myself. Thank God, Lucy's house keeps up. Mr. Holmwood has been suddenly called to ring to see his father, who has been taken seriously ill. Lucy frets. Fretting means worrying. Lucy frets at the postponement of seeing him. But it does not touch her looks. She is a trifle stouter, and her cheeks are a lovely rose pink. She has lost the anemic look which she had, and I pray it will last. 3rd of August. Another week gone by, no news from Jonathan. Not even Mr. Hawkins, from whom I have heard. Oh, I do hope he's not ill. He surely would have written. I look at that last letter of his, but somehow it does not satisfy me. It does not read like him, and yet it is in his writing. There's no mistake of that. Lucy has not walked much in her sleep this last week, but there's an odd concentration about her which I do not understand. Even in her sleep, she seems to be watching me. She tries the door, and finding it locked, goes about the room searching for the key. Another 3 days and no news. This suspense is getting dreadful. If I only knew where to write or where to go, I should feel easier. But no one has heard a word from Jonathan since the last letter. I must only pray to God for patience. Lucy is more excitable than ever, but is otherwise well. Last night was very threatening, and the fishermen say that we are in for a storm. I must try to watch it and learn the weather signs. Today is a gray day, and the sun, as I write, is hidden in thick clouds high on Kettleness. Everything is gray except the green grass, which seems like emerald amongst it. Gray earthy rock, gray clouds, tinged with the sunburst at the far edge, hang over the gray sea, into which the sandpoints stretch like gray figures. The sea is tumbling over the shallows and the sandy flats with a roar, muffled in the sea mist drifting inland. Pachi is asking what an emerald is. An emerald is a gemstone. Let me look. This is an emerald. So she's saying that, the sky is very dark and gray. And because of that, the grass looks extra green, like an emerald. The horizon is lost in a gray mist, all vastness. The clouds are piled up like giant rocks. And there's a brule over the sea that sounds like some passage of doom. Let's see what a brule is. I have no idea what that is. Brule. A low roar, deep murmur, humming sound, like maybe something like that. That's not a word that I would worry about. No, I don't think anybody will know what that means. There's a brule over the sea that sounds like some passage of doom. Dark figures are on the beach here and there, sometimes half shrouded in the mist. Shrouded means like covered. And seem men like trees walking. The fishing boats are racing for home. The rise and dip in the ground swell as they sweep over the harbor. Bending to the scuppers. Scupper is some kind of ship, I think. Here comes old Mr. Swales. Well, that doesn't make sense. Wait, let me see what a scupper is. Although it's not any word that you need to know. It's the openings of. It's a part of a ship. Scupper. Well, scupper. It could come from the word shape, but according to ChatGPT, it's part of a ship. Not a terribly important word to know, though. Here comes old Mr. Swales. He's making straight for me. I can see by the way he lifts his hat. He wants to talk. I've been quite touched by the change in the poor old man. When he last sat down beside me, he said in a very gentle way, "I want to say something to you, miss." I could see he was not at ease. He was not comfortable. So I took his poor old wrinkled hand in mine and asked him to speak fully. So he said, leaving his hand in mine, "I'm afraid, my dearie, that I must have shocked you by all the wicked things I've been saying about the dead and such like for weeks past, but I didn't mean them, and I want ye to remember that when I'm gone. We old folks that be daffled, and with one foot abaft the crook hull, don't altogether like to think of it, and we don't want to feel scared of it. And that's why I took to making light of it, so that I'd cheer up my own heart a bit." Okay, again, so he speaks a very strange form of English, but he's just apologizing for telling her all of those stories about the graveyard. And he's saying, it's because I'm old and I'm afraid of death, and I would rather make jokes and laugh about it than take it seriously. So that's why I was telling you all of those things, and I'm sorry. But Lord love ye, miss, I ain't afraid of dying, not a bit, only I don't want to die if I can help it. My time must be nigh at hand now, for I be old, and 100 years is too much for any man to expect, and I'm so nigh it that old man is already whetting the scythe. Yes, ye see, I can't get out of the habit of caffin about it all at once. The shafts will wag as they used to. Some day soon the angel of death will sound his trumpet for me. But don't ye dole and greet, my dearie, for he saw that I was crying. If he should come this very night, I'd not refuse to answer his call, for life be, after all, only a waitin' for something else than what we're doing, and death be all that we can rightly depend on. I hope that this character does not appear anymore in the book. I don't really understand what he's saying. But I'm content, for it's comin' to me, my dearie, and comin' quick. It may be comin' while we be lookin' and wonderin'. Maybe it's in the wind out over the sea that's bringin' it with loss and wreck, and sore distress and sad hearts. Look! Look! He cried suddenly. There's something in that wind, and in the host beyond the sounds, and looks and tastes and smells like death. It's in the air. I feel it comin'. Lord, make me answer cheerful when my call comes. He held up his arms devoutly and raised his hat. His mouth moved as though he were praying, and after a few minutes' silence he got up, shook hands with me, and blessed me and said goodbye and hobbled off. It all touched me and upset me very much. I was glad when the Coast Guard came along, with his spyglass under his arm, and he stopped to talk with me, as he always does, but all the same kept looking at a strange ship. I can't make her out, he said. She's a Russian by the look of her, but she's knocking about in the queerest way. Queer means strange. So there's a ship coming up from the sea, and all of the people see it, they understand it's a foreign ship, and the Coast Guard says it looks Russian, and he says it's knocking about in the strangest way. Knocking about means there's a storm, so it's moving very violently, probably, in the sea. Panchu's asking about the word hobbled. Do you remember when we were talking about, I think it was you, we were talking about the word waddle. Remember we were doing Gone with the Wind, and Mammy's a big fat woman, and she waddles. She walks like a penguin. I don't know if you remember that. That was a few days ago. Well, hobbling is the same thing, but waddling is because you're fat. And hobbling is because something happened to you, like you got hurt. So this man is hobbling. Something probably happened to his legs, and now he walks in a very strange sort of way. So if you could imagine the way a 100-year-old man walks, a man who's been in wars and at sea, he probably walks in a very strange way. That would be hobbling. And off here, this is a phrasal verb. That means like away. That's another way of saying away. He hobbled off. He hobbled away. That means he left the place hobbling. And he's hobbling probably because he got injured or hurt or something hurts him. He's in pain. She's a Russian by the look of her, but she's knocking about in the queerest way. She doesn't know her mind a bit. She seems to see the storm coming, but can't decide whether to run up north in the open or put in here. Look, there again. She's steered mighty strangely, for she doesn't mind the hand on the wheel changes about with every puff of wind. We'll hear more of her this time tomorrow. So 9-Volt Fan says hello. Hi, 9-Volt Fan. How are you doing tonight? Thanks for joining us. All right, so they're noticing this ship that's probably Russian is coming to the land, but it's moving in a very strange way that seems like nobody's operating it. That's the problem. And that's the end of chapter 7. So now we are going to switch. Pachu, hopefully you want to practice pronunciation today, right? So maybe what we can do is we can try to use some of these words that we took notes with today. So if you want to practice, then we will, I just take a 1-minute break, and when I return, I will call you, and then we will, still on video, don't go away if you're watching, we'll be practicing some vocabulary words, but also pronunciation. Okay, I'm just going to take a 1-minute break, and I will return. All right, I'm back. Let me shut off the music. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to call Pachu now.
Hello, sir.
Hello, how are you doing today?
Yes, sir. I am doing great.
Oh, that's good. Are you doing great or great?
Great.
Great. Okay, so let's see if we let's. I'm just going back to the beginning of the list that you were making today, and
Okay, sir.
let's see. I'm asking ChatGPT to make some sentences very quickly. Okay, so let's start with out argue. Out argue. Well, first of all, I should just say that right now, what we're going to do is we're going to focus on pronunciation, but we're also going to practice some of the vocabulary words that we learned from chapter 6 of Dracula. Okay, so we're doing two things. We're going to practice using some vocabulary, pretty advanced vocabulary, but we're focusing on pronunciation. What does it mean if you put the word out in front of a verb? Do you remember?
Yes, out means outside of that.
Okay, but if you put it in front of a verb like outrun, out argue, out think, out outsmart, what does that mean when you put the word out in front of a verb?
Means excluding that outside of.
Uh,
mm,
when you put the word out in front of a verb, it means that there's a competition and you won. So if I
okay.
if I argue with you, uh,
Yeah.
and I win the argument, I say I out argued Pachu.
Okay.
Wait, let's see. Uh, let's take a look at this. Okay, I'm going to put a picture up on the screen. Let me know when you can see the screen. Takes a little bit of a maybe 30 seconds. Tell me if you can see the picture on the screen.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
So do you see that there's a competition? What kind of competition are they having?
Yeah, it's a marathon
Okay,
running competition.
they're running, right? Do
Mm.
you agree they're running?
Yes, running.
Okay, which person is winning?
And the person with the
Okay,
uh,
okay.
red shirt.
So we can say the man in the red is outrunning everyone.
Okay. Okay.
Can you say that?
The man with the red one is out of
And not out of, just out. Out plus verb. Outrunning
is outrunning.
is outrunning the other people. You have to put an object here. We need to mention both sides. The man in the red outruns the other people, let's say. That's
The
good.
man
Uh,
the man with the red is outruns the other person.
okay, right. So that means the competition is running and the man in the red is winning. He's outrunning the other people.
Oh, oh yes, yes.
What does it mean if you put out in front of a verb? Can you tell me?
Yeah, the person is mm, in competition and he's winning.
Okay, that's right. So the person in the front part of the verb is winning, and the people on the other side of the verb are losing. Is that pretty clear?
Yes, yes.
Okay, let's. So that was the first word that you had written. You said, what is out argue? So let's practice using out argue in a sentence. Let me just put something up here. Uh,
Yes, yes.
so
Okay.
what I'm going to do is I'm going to try something. We haven't done this before, but I'm just going to try something a little bit different today.
Yeah,
So
yes.
I'm putting an image on the screen. Okay, it would take a moment before you can see it.
Okay, sir.
Let me know when you can see the image on the screen, the new image.
Yes, yes, yes,
What does that mean? Can you,
yes.
first of all, can you explain to me the meaning of the sentence? He couldn't out argue his boss.
Means uh, he could not, he couldn't out argue his boss.
Hmm.
Means uh, he is the person who is argue
Hmm.
with his boss, um, but he is in the winning side, and the boss is in the losing side.
Okay, but we have he couldn't, so that means actually he lost. He couldn't win
Yeah, yes,
he couldn't win the argument with his boss.
yeah. Means the person is losing. Yeah.
That's right. He's losing because we said he couldn't. Okay. Can you read the first part of the phrase? What does the first part of the phrase mean? Read
Okay,
it.
sir.
Just read it. Just
E-
pronounce it. Go ahead.
Even though he was right,
Okay. So let's take a look at that first word, even. Even. What do you think about the vowel sounds?
even means long.
Well, there are two vowel sounds. Are they both long?
E, even though,
Mm-hmm.
even though,
Forget about though. Just think about even. Even. There are two vowel sounds. Are they are they both long? Are they both short? Tell me what you think of the two vowel sounds in even. Mm.
even means is e is long.
Uh-huh.
Ben is also long. I think
Even,
even.
even, even, even.
Okay, okay. Last is short.
That's right. Short. It's short. Short.
Short,
Okay, what about the
short.
word though? Though. Is that a big sound or a little sound? Though.
Though is big sound,
Okay,
big.
that's right. So the way this sounds, it's long, short, long. Even though.
Even though,
That's right.
even though,
Even though. Even though.
even even though,
Now the word he we'll just attach that to the word though, and we'll say even though we, even though we'll just make it one long big vowel sound. Even though we,
even though we,
e-
even though we,
mhm. Even though he was,
even though he was,
even though he was right.
even though he was right.
Okay. What do you think about the word right? Is that a big sound or a little sound? Right.
A big sound is a right. The right.
Okay, so we have even though he was right.
Uh, even though he was right. He
Okay.
was right.
Now let's take a look at the second part. He
Yeah.
couldn't. He couldn't. Couldn't. What do you think about the vowel sounds in the word couldn't? Are those big sounds or little sounds? Couldn't.
Is a small.
They're
Is it
small.
couldn't. Is it
Okay.
couldn't.
What about
Mm.
he? Is he sometimes he can be big and sometimes it can be small? What do you think about in this case? Do you think this is a big sound or a little sound?
Uh, Small.
Well, even though he was right, he couldn't. Could be. Okay, let's do that. We'll make it small. Sometimes we have a choice. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
but if you make he small, then probably you should make couldn't big. He couldn't.
Yes. Yes. He couldn't. But
Mhm.
he's make he's longer.
Okay,
Yeah.
then the way that you would say it is even though he was right, he couldn't.
Yeah. Even though he was right, he couldn't. He couldn't.
He couldn't. He couldn't.
He couldn't. Couldn't.
Okay.
He couldn't.
And so our next word is the new verb that we've learned, which is out argue. What does that mean if you put the word out in front of a verb?
Uh, Means uh, is competition is
Uh,
happening competition,
That's right.
but is winning side. The
Okay.
thing is on winning side.
So what do you think is more important, the out or the argue? Which word do you think is more important, out or argue?
Out.
I think you're right. But also, remember we said when you have two words together, usually you put the emphasis
Yeah.
on the first word, not the second word. Not always, but usually.
Yes.
He couldn't out argue.
He couldn't out argue.
Okay. And what do you think
Yeah.
about the word his? Is that an important word or no?
No.
It's not.
I
So
not
let's make it part of the word argue and say he couldn't out argue is.
okay. He couldn't out argue
Argue is.
his
Argue is. Argue is. Just make his part of argue. Out argue
okay.
is.
Out argues.
Hmm.
Out argues
And how about the word boss? Is that a big sound or a little sound? Boss. The
is a big sound. Yeah,
Okay.
it's a big sound.
He couldn't out argue his boss.
He couldn't out argue his boss.
Even though he was right, he couldn't out argue his boss.
Even though he was right, couldn't out argue his boss.
Okay. I just didn't hear the word he. Can you say that again? I need to hear you say he couldn't out argue his boss.
He couldn't out argue his boss. He couldn't
He couldn't.
out argue his.
Hmm.
He
Okay.
couldn't. He could.
Uh Pachu, do you see this? I put a new sentence on the video. Do you
Okay,
see the
sir.
new sentence
Yes.
on the
Yes.
screen? How will you make a question? Can you ask a yes no question with he could out argue his boss? How will you ask a yes no?
Yes. Yeah. Could he out argue his boss?
Okay. Uh could he? Could he? Could he?
Mm. Could he
Could he out argue
could
his
he
could he out argue his boss?
could he out argue his boss?
How would you answer no?
Uh, no, he couldn't out argue his boss.
Okay, and sometimes the word he will just attach to the word in front of it. No he. No he couldn't.
Okay.
No he couldn't.
No, he couldn't. No, he couldn't.
No he couldn't out argue his boss.
No, he couldn't out argue his boss.
Okay.
Couldn't.
So let's move on to another vocabulary word. We have the word cronies. Do you remember what that word means? Cronies?
Cronies. No, actually.
Okay. Well, I'm just asking ChatGPT to give me some sentences so I don't have to think of them. Remember, cronies is like friends, but it sounds like a very
Okay.
negative word. When you use the word cronies, that sounds
Yes, yes.
like a negative thing, like friends who follow you and help you do bad things or something like that.
Okay,
It's
okay.
a pretty negative word.
Yeah, negative
Well,
word. Yeah.
it's not necessarily negative, but I've only heard it being used in negative ways.
Okay,
Let's see. So here, I'm just taking a sentence ChatGPT gave me with cronies so we can practice. Here
okay,
we
sir.
go. So I'm just putting this up on the screen. Hopefully you can see it pretty soon.
Okay, sir. Yes. Okay.
Can you
Okay.
see it? Can
Yeah.
you read it? What
Yes.
does it say?
The businessman and his cronies control most of the local market.
Okay. The businessman. Biz business. Businessman. That's a
The
hard one.
businessman.
What do you
The
think about the vowel?
businessman.
Businessman. Businessman. Uh,
Yeah.
First of all, is this a combination of two words? Businessman.
Yeah. The business and plus man.
Okay, so which word should have the attention then?
The business. The
Okay,
business.
all right.
Yeah.
So business, business. Are there any big sounds or little sounds? What are the sounds in that word? The vowel
Yeah.
sound.
It's a big sound. A big sound.
Which sound is big? Tell me which one is big.
And the first is the
Business.
business. The B.
Bi-
Business.
Well, I think the z is big, but I don't know about the b. It doesn't sound very big. It's big because it's the accented syllable. Business. Business. What about nis? Is that small or big?
Is a small.
Okay, say the
Small.
word again. Business.
Business. The
Okay.
business.
How about the word man? Man. Is that a big vowel sound or a little vowel sound?
Yeah, it's a big, it's a man, it's a
Okay.
man.
Okay, but because we have to put the focus on business, we have to make business a stronger word than man. Okay, so
Yes,
the
okay.
businessman.
The businessman.
How do you think if the word and the word his are not important words? How do you think it sounds in the middle of a sentence?
And is, and
Okay,
is,
or more commonly, in is, in is.
and is,
It
and
is
is,
just
and
not
is,
even an, but just it is
and
the
is,
the
and
business
is.
the businessman and is the businessman and is.
The businessman and is
Okay, and now we have the word cronies. Cronies. What does that word?
cronies.
What does that word cronies mean?
Cronies means bad friend.
Yeah, kind of bad friend. Okay, and what about the sounds? Tell me about the vowel sounds in the word cronies. Are they big or
Cronies. Yeah, it's a
both?
big sound.
Which one is big? Both of them or only one of them?
No, the crow knees part is small. Yeah,
Well, it's big. It's big, but which one should be bigger, crow or knees?
crow. I think
Yeah,
first.
because it's the accented syllable, so that one should be bigger. Crow knees.
Crow knees.
Yeah, it's a very big, long sound. It's not cronies. You were saying it like that earlier. That's difficult
Yeah. Yes.
to
Yes.
understand because you have to give a lot of attention to that vowel sound. If you don't, it could be very difficult for people to understand.
Okay. Okay. So
Cronies. Cronies.
crow needs.
Mhm.
Crow needs.
That's good. The businessman and his cronies.
The businessman and his cronies.
Okay. Controlled.
Controlled.
Okay. Just so that we can uh, because if we have all these words, we won't be able to do very many of these. So I'm making the sentence shorter.
Okay.
Controlled. Tell me about the vowel sounds in that word. Are they big sounds or small sounds? Controlled.
Controlled. Con part is short. Controlled.
Trolled.
Trolled is longer.
Yes,
Trolled.
very long. Controlled.
Controlled.
And then we have the word the. Normally, that's a very small sound in a sentence. Controlled the.
Yes.
Controlled the.
Control the.
The businessman and his cronies controlled the
The businessman, his cronies control the.
market. Market. What about those vowel sounds? Are those big vowel sounds or little vowel sounds?
Is first is bigger. Is a market. Is a
Yep.
market.
And the second one is small.
Small.
The businessman and his cronies controlled the market.
The businessman, his
And his
cronies.
and his I need to hear that You have to say The businessman in his the businessman in his
The businessman and its. The
mhm,
businessman and its
go ahead. Cronies.
cronies.
Huh? Not not
Cronies.
not cronies, cronies.
Cronies.
Mm-hmm. Controlled the market.
Controlled.
Controlled the
Controlled.
controlled the market. Controlled the market.
Control the market. Control the market.
Okay. Pachu, how would you make a yes no question with that sentence?
Okay. Did the businessman and his cronies control the market?
Okay, that's
The
good.
market.
Did the businessman and his cronies control the market? Say it again.
Did the businessman and his cronies control the market?
How would you answer no? Tell me no.
No. The businessman and his cronies didn't control the market.
What does cronies mean?
Cronies means bad friend.
What does out argue mean?
Out argue means the person is in competition and is
Uh,
winning side.
okay. All right. Let's move on to another word, another vocabulary word from from chapter 6 of Dracula. We use the
Okay.
word nudge. First, I'm just going to ask ChatGPT to give me some nudge sentences.
Okay, sir.
Do you remember that word, nudge?
No, no, sir.
Okay, that's okay. It's hard to remember all of these words. Okay. I'm putting a sentence up on the screen, so hopefully you'll see it in just a few seconds. Do you see it?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
nudge is like a small movement. Could be like a little push, could be like this, moving your elbow like this. You just hit somebody a little gently with your elbow or with your hand.
Okay, okay, okay.
Nudge is like
Now I remember.
uh, and so that sentence, she gave him a gentle
Yes, yes.
nudge to wake him up. What do you think that means?
Yeah. Slight push.
Yeah, like a little push. Hey, wake up, but not very hard because a nudge is
Yeah.
a small movement and they said gentle. So it's just a little, hey, wake up.
Yes.
Not an emergency or anything like that. You
Yes,
understand that
yes, yes.
sentence? Is that pretty clear? The word nudge?
Okay. Yes. Now
Okay.
clear. Yeah.
Let's start with the phrase she gave him. She gave him. I'm just going to say it in a normal, typical way. She gave him. She gave him. She gave him. Which word
She
do you
gave
think?
him.
What is the biggest word in that phrase? She gave him. Which word has the
G-
biggest sound? She gave.
the gave.
Okay.
Gave.
Okay, so this is two. I'm going to say that word this because it's important. If you have the important word, you have to pronounce it very clearly. I'm going to say
Yes.
that word very slowly, and I want you to think about how many sounds do you hear in the middle of that word. Gave, gave. How many sounds?
Two.
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 Okay.
Gave.
Gay, gay, gay.
Gay. Gay.
Yeah, gay.
Gay. Gay.
So, and what
Gay.
about what about she and him? Are those big sounds or little sounds? She and him.
The little.
Okay.
Little son.
She gave him.
She gave him.
She gave
She
him.
gave him.
She gave him a.
She gave him. Mom.
She gave him a. Okay.
She
How
gave him. Mom.
how about the word gentle? Tell me about those vowel sounds in that word. Gentle. 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 Are they big sounds or little sounds?
Gentle is big.
Okay.
Yes, gentle.
With the two syllables, gentle. How about the second syllable?
Yeah.
Is that big or small?
Second syllable has a little sound.
Very little sound. She gave him
Yeah.
gentle.
She gave him a gentle. She
Okay.
gave him a gentle.
Okay. And how about what does the word nudge mean? What does that word mean? Nudge.
So nudge. Nudge means slight push.
A little push.
Somebody with
Push.
elbow.
Push.
With elbow.
Yeah. Well, it could be with the elbow, could be with the hands. It doesn't matter. Doesn't really have
Okay.
to. When I think of nudge, I think of the elbow, but it could be anything probably.
Okay.
It
Okay.
just means a small movement, a small push, something like that.
Yes.
Okay. So we have now remember the D will make a sound extra long. Okay. So it's not
Yes. Yes.
remember that from this morning we were talking about that? So this is nudge. It's a very big sound. Nudge.
Nods. Nods.
Mm.
Nods.
She gave him a gentle nudge.
She gave him a gentle nods.
Hmm. To wake, to wake, to wake.
To to wake. To wake.
What do you think about to? Is that a big sound or a little sound here? To wake.
As a little
Okay.
sound.
How about wake? Is that big or small?
It's a big wake.
And
It's a wake.
we have the perfect small big, small big, small big, small big pattern here. Okay. It fits
Yeah. A
perfectly.
small big. A small
That's
big.
exactly
Yes.
what we
Yes.
have here. Uh, she gave him a gentle nudge to wake.
She gave him a gentle nudge to wake him up.
Okay, now we get to the word him. Him. Is that a long? If I say that word alone, is that a big sound? Him. Is that a big vowel sound? Him.
No, it's
Well,
small.
alone, it's pretty big. Him. That's a pretty big
Yes.
sound.
Yeah.
But in the
Yeah.
middle of a sentence, it's nothing. Wake him.
Not
Wake him.
wake up.
Wake
Wake
him.
up.
Wake him.
Wake him. Wake him.
Wake him. Wake him.
Wake him.
Wake.
Wake him.
Nudge to wake him.
Nudge to wake him.
Not wake, but wake. Two sounds. A. Wake. Wake him.
Wake him. Wake him.
Okay. Wake
Wake
him up.
him.
Now, how about the word up? Up. Up.
Up.
Is that a big sound?
Uh.
Up.
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 Up. Yes.
Well,
Yes.
I think here's the funny thing. Normally it's not, but we have our beautiful pattern of small, big, small, big, small, big.
Yes.
So
So.
let's
So.
make it big just to complete the pattern. Say mop.
Yes.
Mop.
Mop.
She gave him a gentle nudge to wake him up.
She gave him a gentle nudge to wake him up.
Yeah, it's
To
better.
wake him up.
Yeah, it would be better if you keep the perfect pattern and say "ma" and make it really big. That would sound nicer.
Mop. A
Ma.
mop. Mop.
Normally
Mop.
it's small, but here would just be a little bit
Yes.
artistic and make it big. She gave him a
Yeah.
gentle nudge to wake him up.
She gave him a gentle nudge to wake him up.
Okay.
Wake him up.
Can you how would you make a yes no question with that sentence?
Yes. So did she give him a gentle no nudge to wake him up?
Okay. Did she give him a? Did she give him a? Did she give him a?
Did she give him a?
Did
She
she
did she
go ahead.
did she give him give me
Give him a?
give him up?
Give him a? Give him a?
Did she give him a?
That's good. Did she give him a gentle nudge?
Did she give him a gentle nudge?
Did she give him a gentle nudge to wake him up?
Did is did is did she give him give him give him a gentle nudge to wake up?
Wake him up, wake him up, wake him up, wake him up. Don't
Wa-
forget him.
wa- uh, wake him up, wake him up,
Wake him up,
wake,
wake him up, wake him up.
wake him up, wake him up.
Okay, but it would sound better instead of saying up. Because of our pattern, it would be better to say up, even though normally it is up. Here it sounds better if you say up, make it long. Wake
Okay.
him up.
Uh, wake him up,
Okay.
wake him up.
Gentle nudge to wake him up.
She gave him a gentle nudge to wake him up.
Okay. How would you answer no to that question? How would you say no?
No, she didn't give him a gentle nudge to wake him up.
That's good. Okay. What does the word nudge mean?
Nudge means slight push.
Push, push. Lift up your tongue when
Slight.
you're saying a different word, which is kind of bad. So so say push. You've got to lift your tongue up a little bit.
Okay. Push.
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 Lift up your tongue more.
Push.
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 You've got to lift up your tongue. So here's the top of your mouth here, and you lift up your tongue so there's just a little space for the air to go through. Push.
Push.
Push. See my hand?
Push.
Your
Push.
tongue should go like this. Push. Push. Push.
Push. Push.
Are you lifting up your tongue? Is your tongue almost touching the top of your mouth? Push.
Uh,
Push. Push.
push. Push. Push.
Is your tongue going up?
Push.
Sounds like you're not moving your
Push.
tongue. So you're saying an S,
Yeah.
but you have to make your tongue go up in the back. Push.
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 Push. Push.
Okay, we'll have to work on that.
Push.
We have to work on that some more. Uh, you were doing it well the other day. Let's see. I forgot. Oh, we've
Push.
got
Push.
push. Push. You've got to make your tongue go up in the middle, the end.
Okay. Okay. Push.
It's
Push.
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 Oh, that was good.
Push.
You did it. You did it. You did it. Push.
Push.
Push. You've got to push up your tongue more.
Push.
Push up your tongue more.
Push.
Push.
Okay. Push.
See
Push.
my hand? Push.
Push.
This. Push. Your tongue goes up in the back. Push. This is the back.
Push.
Push. Push.
Push. Push.
What if you pretend
Push.
like you're pulling it back, like you're doing a Y? Push. Push. Pull your tongue back. push and push out air.
Okay. Push.
It's I'm
Push.
hearing it better. It's a little bit better, but you still have to work on it. Okay.
Push.
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 Yeah, it's getting close. It's getting close. You're getting closer. Whatever you're doing now with your tongue is much closer than before.
Yes, yes, yes. I am bringing my tongue backward,
Yeah.
up roof of the mouse
Yeah, so you pull it
mouth.
back,
Yeah.
push, push. Then the air comes through here. It creates that sound. Push,
Push.
push, push up.
Push.
Push your tongue
Push.
up more. Push back and up.
Push.
It's getting close.
Push.
What does the word crony mean? What does that word crony mean?
Crony means mm, bad friend.
Hmm. What does it mean if you out argue someone?
Means uh, the person is in competition and is in winning side.
Okay.
Winning side.
Okay. All right. Let's do another word here. How about scorn? We'll do scorn. I don't think we can do all of the words, but we can do some of them. How
Okay, sir.
about, let's see. Do you remember that word scorn? We've actually seen that several times in several books.
No, no, sir.
Well, it's like anger or disapproval. Let's see.
Okay,
She
anger.
looked at his suggestion with scorn. So scorn. Well, I just want.
Go on.
Let me,
Uh,
it's like it's like a look of hate. It's kind of like a look of
oh,
hate because maybe you're offended by something somebody said. Watch my face in the
yes,
video. That's the best I can.
yes. Okay,
It's kind of a
okay,
look of hate or disapproval or unhappiness because you don't approve.
yes. Okay, I got it. Yeah.
So if I
Okay.
say she looked at. Oh wait, I skipped something here. What did I miss? She looked at his suggestion. Okay, that I'm just copying the Chat GPT uh, sentence it gave me. She looked at his suggestion with scorn. Did she like his suggestion? Did she think it was a good suggestion?
No,
No. Why not? How do you
no.
know?
Because of the scorn.
Okay,
The
what kind of
scorn.
face? What kind of face did she have?
The slight wrinkle type, or what to say, is not the gloomy side. Yeah.
Not gloomy. No, not gloomy. Angry or disgusted
Okay.
or unhappy
Okay.
because she did not approve.
Okay.
Disapprove, like
Disgusted.
disapproval,
A disapproval. A disapproval.
scorn.
Okay. Scorn.
She looked. She looked. She looked.
She looked.
What do you think
She
about the vowel
looked.
sounds in those two words? She looked.
Yes, she is short, and the looked is
Okay.
long.
What about it is? It is. It is. It is.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
It is. It
It
is.
is. It is. It is.
It is.
She
It
look.
is.
Are those big sounds or little sounds? Those vowel sounds.
This is small.
Okay. She looked at his. She looked at his.
She looked at it. She looked at it.
Okay. Suggestion. Suggestion.
Suggestion.
What do you think about those
Suggestion.
vowel sounds in that word? Suggestion. Are those big?
Gestion part is middle part is stronger
Okay.
than the first part
And is a
and
bigger
the
sound.
last part.
Eh. It's eh. Suggest.
Yeah. Suggestion.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have she looked at his suggestion.
She looked at his suggestion
With, 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 with.
with
Is that a
with
big sound or a little sound? With.
is a little sound. Is a little sound.
Okay. She looked at his suggestion with.
She looked at his suggestion with.
Okay. You now you can if you want you could make it big and you could say with, but that word is so common and usually not very important
Yeah.
that it's
Very
just
important.
with 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 with. It's not a. It
With
doesn't sound
with.
like that. If you're saying the word separately, just alone, it's with.
Yeah.
Okay,
With.
and it's very big, but not in
With.
the middle of a sentence. It usually isn't. It's just with. with.
With. With.
She
With.
looked at his suggestion with.
Suggestion with.
Mhm.
Suggestion with.
She looked at his
Yeah.
suggestion with.
She looked at his suggestion with.
Okay. And,
Suggestion with.
and what about that word scorn? Scorn.
His corn part is longer than scorn. Scorn.
That's a very big sound, isn't it?
Yes.
Scorn. Scorn.
Scorn. It's
Hmm?
scorn.
Yeah.
Scorn. Scorn.
With scorn.
Oh,
With scorn. With scorn. So you go from small to big. With scorn.
with scorn. With scorn.
Okay. Can you see the just underneath the sentence? I have written
Okay.
something. Can you see what it
Suggestion.
is?
Okay. Suggestion.
Okay, I'm just going to let me get
So,
this higher so it's easier to see. Okay. How many syllables in that word?
suggestion. Three.
That's right. So what is the first syllable?
The saw.
Okay. Sug. Sug.
And it's this. Yeah. Sug.
Sug. No,
Sug.
no, now remember is g, is that a vibrating sound or is that a spitting out sound? Sug.
It's a go. Go is vibration.
It is
Yeah.
so what does that mean about should
It
that
means we have to big
make it big?
longer. Yeah.
Yeah, make it
Sound.
bigger. Sug. So it's not sug, but
Sug.
sug. Sug. It becomes
Sug.
because of that.
Sug. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I'm getting it. Okay. Okay.
What is the
Yes.
next sound?
The the chest. The
Jest.
chest.
Jest. Jest. It's a hard
Chest.
jest.
Chest.
Hmm.
Just hard. Yes.
Suggest.
Just.
Suggest.
Suggest.
So
So just.
there are two parts in there. There's the sug and then the jest. Suggest.
Sug and jest.
So
The
can you
jest.
say the two sounds together? Suggest.
Suggest.
Mm-hmm. Suggestion.
Suggestion.
Okay. Suggestion.
Suggestion.
She looked at his suggestion with
She
scorn.
looked.
Sorry.
She, okay, she looked at his suggestion with scorn.
Okay, but say the word because now you were saying it very clearly when we said it alone, but when it was in the middle of a sentence, it became very hard to understand the word. Say the word suggestion again.
Okay. Suggestion.
Suggest
Suggestion.
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 Okay, can you say she looked at his suggestion?
She looked at his suggestion
Okay, with scorn.
with scorn.
She looked at his suggestion with scorn.
She looked at his suggestion with scorn.
Okay, that was good. How would you make a yes/no question?
Did she look at his suggestion with scorn?
Okay, that's good. Did she look at his suggestion with scorn? And how would you answer no to that question?
No, she
No,
looked at his
she.
suggestion.
Again, tell me again. No.
No, no, she looked at his suggestion with scorn.
Okay, but you have to make the sentence negative. How would you make the sentence negative?
No, she didn't look at his suggestion with scorn.
Okay. Now I'm just going to write a word here. Expansion Channels is saying, can you make a simplified version of 1984? Well, that becomes complicated. If you're watching the videos with me and you say, I don't understand that paragraph, can you say it in a different way? Then I can do that. But if you're asking, can I read a simplified version? Probably not, because of copyright reasons. If somebody wrote a simplified version, it would be modern and there would be a copyright and I would get in trouble for doing that. So, no, I couldn't do that. But while I'm reading something, if you ask me to explain it in simpler ways, I would be happy to. And then Expansion Channel says, is scorn a very common word? No, well, it's a more advanced word. This is advanced English vocabulary. It's used, but it's not the most. It's not the top priority word that you need to learn. Okay, let's see. Where were we? Uh, oh, okay. I wanted to
Yeah.
make a note about something. Okay, can you say these two words together? I'm just typing. Actually, let me type a full phrase here.
Okay.
Do you see the? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words together. Can you see those
Okay.
5 words?
Yes.
What are those 5 words? She did.
She didn't look.
Okay.
She didn't look at his. Look
Oh,
at. Look
okay.
at
Now
his. Look at his.
I'm going to say the second word 2 different ways. You tell me which one is correct. Okay. Didn't,
Okay. So,
didn't, or didn't. Which one is correct? Where's the accent? Didn't, didn't. Which syllable?
uh,
The accent.
as a first.
It should be the first. It should be didn't. But the way you're saying it
Yeah.
is very. It sounds very Indian when you say that. Didn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it should be
Yeah.
the other way around. It should be didn't.
Didn't. Didn't.
No, she didn't.
Didn't.
Mhm.
No, she didn't.
Mhm.
Didn't.
No, she didn't. Not didn't, but didn't.
Didn't. Didn't. Didn't.
No, not didn't. Didn't. Didn't.
Didn't.
No, like that.
Didn't.
Not like that. Didn't. Try it.
Didn't.
Can you say she didn't?
Didn't.
She didn't look. She didn't look.
She didn't look. She didn't look.
Okay, not didn't. Didn't.
Didn't.
And she didn't look.
She didn't look.
Okay. All right. What does scorn mean?
Scorn means disapproval.
Okay. It's usually a look of disapproval, sometimes words of disapproval. You can scorn someone. You could use words also, words of disapproval too. But mostly when people talk about scorn, they're talking about the expression of the face, a look of disapproval, a look of anger or hatred or something. What does the word
Yeah.
nudge mean? What does that word nudge mean?
Nudge means slight push.
Push. Push. Got to raise that tongue up.
And nudge, nudge,
No.
nudge.
How about uh okay, the word how about crony? What does crony mean?
Crony means bad friend.
Bad friend. Okay. And then what does it mean if you out argue someone?
Means someone is in uh, competition and is the winning side.
Okay. So if there's an argument, if there's a competition of arguing, the person who
Uh,
out argues is the person winning the argument.
yes.
Okay. All right. Expansion says, "Thank you for your response. My point is to have something more simplified." No, I understand expansion. And like I said, if you're watching while we're reading, I'm happy to make it simpler for you. But I was trying that for a while to what I was doing is I was reading a whole paragraph and then I was putting it into Chat GPT and saying, make this very simple. But I was finding that was taking such a long time. It would be really hard to get to move along, to make progress in a book. So I kind of gave up on that idea. But sometimes I read The Wizard of Oz. I've done like maybe 4 or 5 chapters of The Wizard of Oz. That's a very simple book. Maybe I'll do another one of those chapters soon. Okay, let's look for our next word. Maybe this will be the last word, okay? How
Yeah, okay, sir.
about soothe? We've had that word several times. Soothe. Do you remember that word? Soothe?
Yeah, soothe means melody or something. Um, um,
Something to make
peace.
you feel calm.
Yeah, it's a calm piece.
Like for example,
Soothing music.
what was that? What?
Soothing music.
That's right, soothing music. Soothing music.
Yeah.
What do you think about the soothing words? What do you think that means if you say soothing words? What are soothing words?
Yeah. Make feel peace, calm.
Yeah, so if somebody is upset or sad or crying, maybe you say, "Oh, don't worry, everything will be okay. Just calm down." Those are like soothing words. Does that
Yeah,
make
okay.
sense?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right. So wait, let me ask ChatGPT to make a sentence.
Okay.
Let's see. Okay, here's a sentence. She tried to soothe the crying baby.
Okay.
What does that
Okay.
mean? Can you explain the meaning of that sentence?
Okay. Where is sentence, sir?
Hopefully it's coming.
Okay. Okay. Now I got it. Yeah, okay.
What does that mean? She
Sit.
tried to soothe the crying baby.
Okay. This means that she is trying to just stop the crying
Mhm. Make the
by
baby feel
by
calm. Make the baby
yeah,
feel relaxed.
yeah,
Right, does that make sense?
relax. Yes. Yes.
Okay. Now, if I say she tried to, which word is big in that phrase? She tried to.
She tried. Is tried.
Tried is
Tried.
a very big word. So, how will you say tried? Tell me that word, just that word alone. Tried.
Tried.
Okay,
Tried.
good. She tried to.
She tried.
Okay, how about these two words? Suta. Suta.
Soothe. Soothe.
Mm-hmm. What are the vowel sounds? Are they big or small in that phrase?
The su is long and
Uh-huh.
the is short.
Okay.
Soothe.
Soothe. That no, that word, that sound, th, soothe. Is that a vibration sound or is that a sound that you spit out?
No, this is vibration
It is a
type sound.
vibration. If you say soothe at the end of the word, you can feel your throat vibrating. Soothe. So what does that mean when you say ooh? What does that do? What happens when you have a sound like that?
Soothe.
If you
Ooh.
that ooh becomes extra long because of the vibration in your throat. Soothe,
Oh.
soothe.
Yes. This means that uh, shorter U and the longer U. There are two types of
Mhm.
uh,
Two types of
U
ooh.
sound.
Two types of,
Yes.
actually, there are two THs. One vibrates and one doesn't. Let's take a look at it for a moment. Okay.
Yeah, that is also, yeah. The
Uh,
TS sound is hmm,
I don't know if you can
type
see the two
voiced or
words.
unvoiced.
Can you see the two words that I have written on the screen?
Uh, Tooth. Yes.
Okay, but these are
Uh,
two different sounds. The final part of number one and the final part of number two are two different sounds. And the difference is number one, you have to push out all of the air. Tooth,
yes, yes.
tooth, tooth,
Tooth,
tooth.
tooth,
No, but I want to hear you push out the air. Tooth.
tooth, tooth,
Hmm. Can you say, try this? Can you say toos like this? Toos, toos.
tooth,
Yes, but now
tooth,
it's exactly the same as the S, but you move your tongue forward. Tooth.
su, tooth,
Okay, move your tongue under your teeth. Tooth.
tooth,
You've
tooth,
got to push your tongue under your teeth. Tooth. See my tongue? Tooth.
tooth,
You're not pushing your tongue under your teeth. If you were pushing your tongue under your teeth, it would not sound like tooth. It would sound like tooth. The only difference between tooth and tooth is the position of your tongue. Tooth.
tooth, tooth, tooth,
Yeah,
tooth,
that would take some practice. But for right
tooth.
now, let's just focus on the vowel sound, okay? Because number one is a sound where you push out the air, okay? The is you push out the air, but number two, you eat the air and it makes your throat vibrate, okay? Listen to the vowel sound in number one, tooth, tooth. Listen to the vowel sound in number two, soothe.
Soothe,
Hmm.
soothe, soothe,
So number one is tooth, tooth. Very short.
tooth,
Tooth. It's the same
tooth,
sound, but the length is very different. Number one is tooth.
tooth. Yes, I am talking. Yeah, I am talking this sound. Yeah, this sound.
Tooth.
Yes, sure.
But number two is soothe.
Soothe,
Hmm.
soothe,
So
soothe.
the vowel sound is different.
Yeah, and these are the sound that I usually confuse.
Hmm.
When I see this type of spelling,
Uh-huh.
sometimes confuse how to pronounce. It means longer or shorter, and the spelling is the same. There
Uh,
is no difference,
yeah,
but
they're spelled the
yes, the
same,
pronunciation is different.
but they're different. That's why English is a very confusing
Yeah,
language.
yeah, and I always think about this. Yeah, and it's difficult to just articulate how this is long or short. Yeah, me.
Yeah, there are some ways that you can figure it out. I'm giving you one of them now.
Yes,
Okay,
yes, yeah.
so we have she tried to soothe. It's a big sound. She tried to soothe.
She tried to soothe.
And also D, tried, ends with a D. That's a vibration sound. So again, it should be longer. She tried to soothe.
She tried to soothe.
She tried to soothe the.
She tried to soothe the
Okay. Now, what is the next word? Can you say the next word?
crying.
Okay. I'm going to say that word very slowly, and I want you to think about all of the sounds that you hear in the middle of that word. Crying. Cry,
Cry,
crying. How many sounds?
crying. Three.
Really
Cry.
four. Really four. Crying.
Yeah, four. Ing is last four.
Crying.
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 This kind of sound is really hard for people learning English to pronounce. There's so many vowel sounds,
Yeah,
and it's extremely difficult for people to understand that there are four vowel sounds in there. Crying,
yeah, yeah,
crying,
yeah.
crying.
Cry, crying.
That's better. That's pretty clear. Crying.
Yeah, crying.
Is that
Generally we see two diphthongs sound in English. Sometimes three sound, but four is unusual.
well?
And also
Mhm.
the ing sound, which comes in at the end of the word,
uh,
is difficult,
that's
and because it is then related to nasal sound, I think.
it is a nasal sound. But
Yeah.
the reason that there are four is because you have two syllables, and I've just changed the word a little bit on the screen so that you
Yes.
can see. You've
Yeah.
got two syllables. You've got cry. Now,
Yeah.
in that syllable, you have two sounds: a e, cry e, cry e. There are two
Yeah.
syllables, two
Yes.
two vowel sounds in there. Cry, I.
Cry.
Okay,
I.
and the second syllable only has one vowel sound, which is ing. Okay,
Ing.
but the problem is you've got these two syllables touching each other with vowel sounds,
Yeah.
and when that happens,
Yeah.
you have to you have to put in an extra sound to separate them. You just repeat
Okay.
the last sound of the first syllable. So you say cry, that ends with e, so you
Cry.
repeat the
E.
e in a very strong way. Crying.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. The clue is here. Okay. Yeah. Crying.
Cry.
Crying.
You put that extra e,
Yeah.
you repeat the e of cry to
Cry.
show that it's two separate syllables. If you don't do that, it becomes really hard to understand what the word is.
Yes. Yes. Okay. I got it. Yeah. This is the actual secret thing. Yeah. The
This is my
cry.
these are my pronunciation secrets.
Yeah. Yeah. This is secret because yeah. How normal people know this? Yeah. This is a
It's a that's if you could understand that one thing,
the
it would like increase your
secret.
pronunciation by 50% already, because that is like the big thing that people have a lot of problems with. It's the same with let me put two words here. How about happy? I'm just trying to think of two words that we could do. Let's see.
Crying.
Uh,
Crying. Cry.
I can't think of any words. Uh, okay, I'm just going to put two words together. They don't make any sense. Okay, but
Okay, sir. Just
I
for
just want I
practice.
just want to show you that actually this happens when you put two words together too. You see the two words that I have here? It doesn't make any sense. Hi, internet. It doesn't. I
Okay.
just wanted to think of one word that finishes with a vowel sound and another word that starts with a vowel sound. High. What is the final sound of the word high?
High, E, high,
Okay, high.
high,
It's E, you're right. Okay, and then what is the first sound of the word internet?
the E,
Okay,
internet is
internet.
E.
Okay, if you put those two words together and you say hi internet, how would you say those? Say those two words together without stopping.
High internet.
Okay,
High.
you have to, because of all these vowel sounds, you have to separate, you have to show that there are two words here. So you just repeat the sound of the first word. So you say hi internet. You put
Oh,
that
oh,
sound to
okay.
separate them.
High internet. High
But you don't stop.
internet.
Don't stop. If you stop, you don't have to put the extra sound. Hi, internet. It's only when you push the words together, you have to somehow separate them. So you say hi, internet.
High internet. High internet.
Crying baby.
Okay. Crying baby.
Okay. Now, when I say that word baby, I'll say it very slowly. Okay. How many sounds do you hear? Baby. Baby. How many sounds in the middle?
Two.
Two, not one,
Two.
two. Baby, baby, baby.
Baby.
Crying
Baby.
baby, crying baby.
Crying baby. Baby.
Okay, now that word crying, is that a long sound in the middle or a short sound? What do you think?
Yes. Crying is big.
It's a very
Cry.
big sound. Crying. It's really big.
The crying.
Crying,
Crying.
crying,
Crying.
crying,
Crying.
crying baby.
Crying baby.
Okay. She tried to soothe the crying baby.
She trying to soothe the crying baby.
Okay, that's good. How would you make a yes? What does that word soothe mean, by the way? What does that mean? Soothe.
Soothe means to make feel peace, calm.
Okay, that's right. Okay. How would you make a yes no question with that sentence?
Uh, did she try to soothe the crying baby?
Okay. And how would you answer
Baby.
no to that question?
No, she didn't. Trying to soothe the crying baby.
Okay, which one is correct? Didn't or didn't? Which one is correct?
Didn't. Didn't.
Well, that's how an Indian would like to say it, but it's better if you say it the other way. Didn't. Focus on did and not nt.
Okay. Didn't. Didn't.
Didn't.
Yes.
Say it again.
Didn't.
Yeah, that's better. No, she didn't try to soothe the crying baby.
Yes, I have problem. I have noticed before. Yeah, the word with not, and I'm not doing right way. So it is. I have noticed already, and it is a problem type. So
Uh,
yeah, try this. This is yeah. I have to improve. Yeah,
that's okay. Just recognize. Oh, the first step is just to recognize that there's a better way to do it, which would be didn't. And now that you know that,
cheating.
you can correct yourself when you say didn't,
Yeah,
which is kind of the
cheating.
opposite way of saying it.
Yeah,
Okay. What does the word scorn mean?
scorn. Scorn means uh, something disapproval.
Okay, like disapproval or maybe even a little bit of hate. There's a little bit of hate in there or disgust maybe. Something like
Disgust.
mhm. What is a
Yes.
crony? What does crony mean?
Crony means bad friend.
Okay. And how about out argue? What does that mean? Out argue.
Means the person is uh, uh, It's competition in argument and is winning side.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that we have to finish here for today, and
Thank you, sir.
I think I will be reading tomorrow morning, like in about maybe 11 hours from now. So, if you want to
Yes.
join me again when we do Gone with the Wind,
Yes.
chapter
Yes, sir.
37,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I will see you tomorrow. Okay.
See you on next one.
Okay. And thank you everybody for watching and asking and for the questions that you asked. And
Thank you.
I hope that you return and practice with us some more next time.
Thank you so
Okay.
much. Yeah.
All right. Okay. I will see you tomorrow. Goodbye.